Every spring, early childhood business owners and operators face the same quiet dread. Will my team make it through summer? And the shift from a structured school year schedule to the flexibility of camp programming, well, that can create staffing chaos that drives turnover, ratio scrambles, and frayed team culture right when you need your people the most. And the problem isn't that summer is harder, it's that most operators manage summer staffing reactively instead of building a proactive plan. So today, I'm going to show you how to create a summer team schedule that works for your team's needs and your budget, so your best people choose to stay and you enter fall with a team that's still intact and still energized. Well, hey there, CEOs. Welcome back to the Early Childhood Business Made Easy podcast. I'm Kelly Peake. I am your host, and I'm excited to help you find some more of that time, freedom, and profit you so deserve. Now, my friends, it is May. Your summer camps are hopefully planned. Your families are starting to get registered, and then you get the text. Maybe the conversation after school or the resignation letter slipped under your office door. That's a key team member, and unfortunately, they've decided to leave for the summer, or maybe worse, leaving entirely. Maybe it's because the summer schedule just didn't work for their life. Maybe it's because the uncertainty of summer hours makes it too hard to plan around and they had to find something stable. Maybe it's because nobody asked them what they needed until it was too late. Now, does any of that sound familiar? Now, I have operated preschools, enrichment programs, play cafes for 25, 30 years now. And I can tell you that summer team turnover is one of the most preventable problems in this industry and one of the most consistently ignored. We spend enormous energy. We plan camp themes, activities, enrollment, and almost no energy planning for the humans who make those camps possible. And then we're surprised when those humans don't show up for us in September. Now, here's what I've learned. The team members who leave in June almost always give you signals in April. They have questions about summer hours that go unanswered. They have scheduling conflicts that were unacknowledged. They feel unvalued in a season where everything shifts and nothing feels stable. A proactive summer team plan, it communicates to your team that they matter enough to plan for it. Their time with their families is valuable to you as well. And that communication is often the difference between a team member who stays and one who doesn't. So today I'm going to walk you through 3 key strategies to build a summer team plan that will keep your best people engaged from June through August. Number 1, build your summer team plan in April, not May. Number 2, create a summer schedule structure that works for your team and your ratios. And number 3, keep your team engaged through the summer with the PEAKE culture framework. Now, summer staffing chaos, it isn't a people problem. It is a planning problem. And the cost of ignoring it, well, it compounds directly into your fall turnover, that emergency hiring, and the cultural damage that follows a difficult season. When you build a summer team plan that addresses your team's real schedule needs, creates clear and fair coverage schedules, and keeps your people feeling valued during the most unpredictable months of the year, you strengthen the team culture that makes your entire business work. That is the Empower Your Team Profit Booster from Preschool Business Blueprint, doing exactly what it's designed to do. So before we get started, I want you to grab your summer team schedule template. You'll find it at kellypeak.com, where information is about this podcast, episode number 181. And let's get started so you can build your own plan as we go. Now, here's a mindset shift worth sitting with. Your team, those team members, they don't leave in June because summer is hard. They leave because summer feels unpredictable. And unpredictability makes people anxious, and it makes them anxious enough to find something more stable. So when a teacher doesn't know until May how many hours they might have in July, or whether their schedule will allow them to manage their own childcare or their own vacation, or whether they're expected to work the same hours as the school year or maybe fewer, well, that's when anxiety grows. And by the time you're ready to have that conversation, they've already decided. So a summer team plan isn't a management tool, it's a retention tool. And the best time to build that is March or April, not in June. The early childhood industry experiences annual turnover rates between 26 and 40%. Let me repeat myself, 26 to 40%. That is among the highest of any industry. And I know you already know that. And many of you have felt that. So summer, well, that's disproportionately represented in that number because the schedule shift that summer creates, well, that's extremely disruptive. It disrupts the routines, the income stability, and any work-life arrangements that keep team members committed to the rest of the year. So every team member who leaves, well, that can cost you, at a conservative estimate, of $3,000 to $5,000 in recruiting, onboarding, the training time, all the things that your existing team needs to absorb while that position is open. And that is the real cost of reactive summer staffing. A proactive plan that retains even one team member who would otherwise have left, well, that pays for itself many times over in dollars, in ratios, and most importantly, in team culture that is your program's, your business's most valuable asset. Now, I recently worked with the preschool director who she came to me in September, and she did this for a couple Septembers in a row. It was the same story. Her summer had been chaotic. 2 or 3 key team members hadn't returned in the fall, and she was starting the school year with positions to fill and a team that felt depleted. Year after year, she was adapting to this pattern, and so well that she started building expected summer turnover into her fall hiring plan, as if it were simply the cost of operating. When we looked at the pattern together, well, the cause became very clear. Every spring, she communicated the summer schedule to her team, but it was always late in May, early June, a few weeks before the summer even started, with minimal input from the team about what worked for them. Those team members found out that their summer hours, at roughly the same time they were being offered positions elsewhere, well, that became a big problem. Several of them were taking summer jobs not because they wanted to leave the program that they loved, but because they couldn't financially plan around the uncertainty. So the following year, we built her summer team plan. We did it in March, and she sat down with each team member individually. Now, I do this usually in February. Now, remember, I've been owning my businesses for 20 years. I was at KinderCare for 10 years before that. So I have my plan built out. As you know, I talk about it all the time, rinse and repeat, but at least by April. And what she did was she sat down, she discussed the summer scheduling, what their needs were, what their preferences were. Again, I do this in February with each team member. I get a highlight of kind of where their personal needs are. So if they have big family needs to make, for example, maybe they're moving, maybe their own child has some sort of specific need that makes them want to be at home more. Whatever the case may be, if you know in February, that gives you time to plan by the end of the school year so that you don't go into the summer stressed. So this director, she built her summer coverage structure around what she learned, matching her strongest team members to the sessions that work best for their lives while ensuring ratio coverage at every point. She sent formal summer offer letters to her returning team in late April. Now, you don't have to do a formal offer letter, but you do have to have a meeting with them and just check in, find out when do they want to take vacation, when can they work, what hours are going to work best for them. So locking in some of these commitments before outside opportunities come up for them, that's going to fill a vacuum for you. So that September, she returned from summer with her entire team intact, zero emergency hiring, a team that experienced a summer where their needs were considered, and a leader who finally broke the turnover cycle she had spent years accepting as just what has to happen. So for today, I want to dive into those 3 key strategies to help you build your summer team plan. So we're going to start with strategy number 1, and that's building that summer team plan now in April, not in June. So the most important thing that you can do for your summer team building is start earlier than feels necessary. So again, it's May now, but I want you to start thinking about this in April. So again, if you haven't done it, do it now. But next year, start a little earlier than you feel like it should be. If summer begins in June, it really should be, your summer plan should be finalized by the end of April. And that means those planning conversations need to happen at the end of March, beginning of April. And the team outreach needs to happen well before outside seasonal employers start making them offers. So again, We're currently in May, but I want you to do this in April. So here's why the timing matters so specifically. The competition for summer employees in most communities, well, it peaks in April, really by May. So retail positions, camp counselor roles at other organizations, and seasonal service jobs, they all start recruiting early spring. So if you haven't communicated your summer schedule and made a formal commitment to your returning team, by the time those offers appear, you're competing for attention instead of securing loyalty that you've already earned. So your summer team planning process should start with a team needs assessment early in March. Now, this doesn't have to be a formal HR exercise. Like I said, I do this every February. It's a simple one-on-one conversation with each team member. I literally pull each one in my office for about 10 to 15 minutes, and I ask them a couple questions. How are things going? What does your life look right now? Is there anything you need? And then we dive into summer. What does your ideal summer schedule look like? Are there any weeks you already know you're unavailable? Do you want to take a vacation? Is there anything about summer, our programming specifically, that would make it difficult for you to commit to the full summer season? So what you're doing is you're really starting to get an idea, a picture, and then you can start matching things up. So if you know one teacher is flexible and one teacher would like a vacation in June, let the teacher in June take her vacation, and the flexible teacher can take hers in July. Now, these questions, they're going to tell you everything you need to build a realistic coverage plan. Some of your team members are going to want to work full time in the summer, and some are going to want reduced hours. Some may not want to work at all. Some may have family commitments with their own children that are going to constrain their availability. When you know these realities before you build the schedule, you can accommodate them with intention instead of discovering them as last-minute conflicts. Now, after this needs assessment, you're going to build your coverage structure around 2 layers. Your core committed team, those are the ones who want to work over the summer, and your flexible coverage team. Those are the ones who are going to fill in those ratios and coverage on those high enrollment days when your core team is on vacation or out sick or out with their own kiddos. And these are the session transitions also between your summer program blocks. So identifying both of these layers in advance, that means you know where your coverage gaps are going to be before summer starts, and it's going to give you time if you do need to recruit any targeted summer hires or part-time subs. You're going to be able to make those scheduling adjustments rather than scrambling for coverage on a Monday morning. Now, once your plan is built, you can really start talking to your team. Again, you could send a formal commitment letter. You can have a one-on-one meeting. You can do a team meeting, whatever it takes. But make sure everyone is very clear about what the commitment is for the summer. So if you do feel like you need a written document that outlines their summer hours, their compensation structure, start and end dates, and any flexibility provisions that you're offering, do that. Or if you have a team that's been with you for a while or you feel comfortable, have the one-on-one conversation. Now, the formality, that is going to communicate professionalism, and it does create mutual accountability. So if you can do that, that's a great thing to do. Now, this is something that's going to give your team something to really plan their lives around. And that planning certainty, that is often more valuable to a team member than, let's say, a small, tiny wage increase. So 2 action steps I want you to do. Number 1, I want you to schedule your one-on-one summer planning conversations with each of your team members this week, because we're already in May. So if you haven't done this yet, you need to do this now and use those questions as your framework. Take notes. This information that you gather is going to give you the foundation for the entire summer team plan. And the conversation itself, it's going to communicate that you value their input enough to ask before you decide. And then I promise you, once you do this year after year, that your team, they start to expect it. They know it's February. We're going to have our conversation. We're going to talk about what my needs are for the rest of the school year and what my needs are for the summer. And again, it really sets the tone that you care and value them. The action step number 2, I want you to download that summer team schedule template at kellypeak.com, where you'll find this episode 181, and map out your core team coverage against your summer session dates. Identify your coverage gaps now before summer starts, so you have time to recruit any targeted hires that you might need, or maybe just adjust your summer structure to match your available team. And now on to strategy number 2. I want you to create a summer schedule structure that works for your team and your ratios. Now, one of the most common summer staffing problems, it's that your summer schedule is built around what you offered families rather than what your team can realistically cover. So when you design your summer camp schedule first, and then try to staff it, you're building from the wrong end. The schedule that works financially and operationally is one that starts with your available team and then builds the program structure to match. So at Peak Academy, we structure summer as 2 5-week sessions with 2 primary shift structures. So we have a core day that runs from the beginning of camp through mid-afternoon, and then we have an extended day option that adds coverage through early afternoon hours. Now, the core day shift is run by our returning school year team. So they really cover the core. And that extended day coverage is usually by our team that gets hired over the summer. A lot of college kids, high school kids, et cetera, students in those ECE programs who specifically want summer work and shorter scheduling commitments. Now, this layered structure means that our school year team, well, they're not stretched into longer hours. They get to have time for their own family, take their own vacations, and our summer hires get a clearly defined role with defined hours rather than, oh, just show up and we'll figure it out. Now, ratio management during the summer requires a different mindset than the school year because, as you know, enrollment is going to fluctuate, usually week by week and sometimes day by day. When you have families on vacation, they have camp conflicts, they maybe just want to go to the park for the day, grandma and grandpa are in town. The general flexibility that characterizes summer. And building your team plan around a minimum ratio floor with the lowest enrollment you're likely to have and a maximum ratio ceiling, your licensing capacity, that's going to help you create a flexible model that's going to scale between those 2 points that is more sustainable than trying to maintain your school year staffing levels for a program that is inherently variable. So practical tools that will help this work. A weekly enrollment confirmation sent by families. So by Thursday. Now, again, if you listen to episode 180, I go through how you should be setting up your schedule where you have a 5-week commitment, even though it's week by week. They pay week by week. They don't have to come all 5 weeks, but in that 5-week block, they've committed to 1 week, 2 weeks, all 5 weeks, but you already know who's coming and when. So you want to make sure you have confirmation. Whatever system you use, you want to have confirmation set up for your families so you have enough time to adjust any scheduling that you might need. So you want to make sure a clear on-call or flexible availability list for your summer hires. For those team members, you want to make sure that they know when and how they might be called at the last minute. So again, you've built out a system with your parents, so hopefully you don't have any last minute call outs. But when you do, that's when that summer team comes in, those college kids, those high school kids, and make sure they know what your process is. So again, our process at Peak Academy, we have a list of our subs and we give every teacher those subs phone numbers. So they don't, me as the CEO or my CEO that works on site, we don't handle any sub requirements. The team handles it on their own. So we have a decision tree. And so the team knows that coverage at this particular part of the decision tree is how they make the decision of who to call. So again, they start with their subs and they have a list and they go down that tree of who to call and when. Who's qualified for which classroom, who's not qualified for certain classrooms, who can work on certain days, who can't work on certain days, et cetera. And so it really allows them to really handle a lot of that scheduling over the summer. Now, for enrichment programs and play cafes, well, scheduling challenges, that might be slightly different, but the principle is the same. You're going to build your summer program around what your team can sustain, not what would be ideal. And your summer program will hopefully run at about 80% of what you imagine and retain the entire team. That's significantly better for your business than trying to go out there and have an ambitious program that burns your team out by July. So again, really make sure the number that you're bringing in, so the number of enrollments matches your team. So if you over enroll and you don't match your team and you do have those call outs or you do have those team members who burn out, that can really be a problem. So action steps here. Number one, I want you to review your summer camp schedule and identify the coverage hours that your school year team has explicitly agreed to versus the hours you've assumed they'll cover. So again, you're going to hand out your calendar. You're going to have them sign up for the vacations they want to take, the time off they want with their family, the hours that they are going to work or not going to work. And don't just assume that they're going to be working the same hours as during the school year. And then confirm that explicitly with them. And then you can start your conversations with your summer hires. Number two, you're going to create a simple enrollment to staffing decision tree, a matrix for your summer program. So I want you to define who can cover which classrooms. So your team knows who they can call, which classrooms, which subs are available on which days, which subs are available to come in into which classrooms. And again, these are your summer hires, your college students, your high school students, any subs that you might have. You're using them a lot more in the summer. So you want to have this decision matrix available to your team so they know exactly who to call when they need to. All right, my friend, on to strategy number 3. Keep your team engaged through summer with the PEAKE culture framework. Now, retaining your team through summer, that isn't just about schedule and compensation. It's about whether your team members feel seen, valued, and connected to something worth showing up for during a season that can feel disconnected from the program identity that they chose in the school year. And this is where the PEAKE team culture framework, it's going to become your summer retention tool. The PEAKE framework, which is purpose, expectations, appreciation, knowledge, and engagement. This applies to your summer team just as much as it does during the school year. But summer requires a specific application of each element because the context is a little different. So let me walk you through what this looks like in practice. Purpose. Summer can feel like a placeholder between real school years and if you don't intentionally connect to your program's mission. At the start of summer, hold a brief team meeting that reconnects your team to why the summer program matters. It's not just a revenue strategy for the business, but it's a genuine service to the children and families who depend on it. Summer camp, my friend, it is not babysitting. We are not childcare specific or daycare in the summer. You are camp. You are still a quality setting, and it is intentional, enriching experiences. This is what's going to shape how the children experience summer and builds the trust that brings families back in September. So when your team knows that, they show up differently. There is a big difference between just daycare and childcare. So if you're a childcare program or a preschool program and you're running summer camps, they should still be the quality care that you bring all year round. Now, daycare is when you just kind of let the kids do what they want to do, right? You're just letting them play. There's no intention. You're keeping them safe. That is wonderful too, if that's what you offer. But what we're looking for in the summer and what parents are willing to pay for is usually more of an experience. And that's where the camp experience becomes so powerful. Expectations. Summer is the season where operational expectations, well, they most commonly drift off because the schedule, it's different. And the team composition, that's going to be different because you have a lot more summer hires who don't always know your standards. So before summer begins, have that summer kickoff meeting that covers your non-negotiables, your ratio management, your drop-off and pickup procedures, your parent communication standards, maybe what your specific facility needs to look like, and any summer specific SOPs. Now, this meeting doesn't have to be a long meeting. It could just be quick with a clear agenda and enough to set your team up for consistency. And if you can't have a meeting, put it in writing. At least do a handout, email, text, hand it to them, but some sort of communication that lets them know what your expectations are. Appreciation. Now, summer is physically and emotionally demanding work. Operating camp activities with children, often in the heat, managing the energy of different daily structures, covering for colleagues on vacation, kiddos who are up late at night because they're doing fun things with their own families. Well, that takes real effort. The Caught You Being Awesome system, where you and team members can quickly recognize each other for going above and beyond, well, that costs nothing, and that pays dividends in engagement. A sunshine note in a team member's mailbox after a particularly strong or stressful camp day, or a shout out at your weekly team check-in for a creative activity that worked beautifully. Those are small, consistent recognition ideas that during summer, well, it communicates that you're paying attention, even in the busiest weeks. Knowledge. Now, summer is underutilized in professional development opportunities. When your team is running camp themes rather than a formal curriculum, there's a natural flexibility to offer brief training moments that they didn't have time for during the school year. So maybe a 15-minute Friday training on child development topic, a book recommendation with a brief discussion at a time when you're sitting with a team member at lunch, or sending one team member to a local workshop and asking them to share their learnings with the group. These are small investments in your team's growth that communicate you are invested in their future with your program, not just in their availability for the next 10 weeks. And finally, engagement. Build at least one intentional team connection moment into your summer calendar. A midsummer team lunch, an end of season celebration when session one wraps, a simple team photo and recognition moment that acknowledges the work they've done. These moments cost very little and they create a sense of shared experience that makes people want to come back in September. So when your team has good memories of the summer, when it wasn't just a grind, but something they were part of together, well, that makes retention take care of itself. Okay, my friend, 2 action steps here. Number 1, schedule that summer kickoff meeting now. Do it before the first day of camp. Give it an agenda with purpose recognition, expectation review, and an appreciation moment where you recognize each returning team member by name for something specific they've contributed during the school year. Starting summer with that one tone, it is going to set the cultural temperature for the entire season. And again, if you can't have a meeting, put it in writing. And number 2, choose one peak element to focus on this summer. So if your team has been feeling underappreciated, make an appreciation piece your priority and implement maybe the caught being awesome system in that first week. If clarity has been a problem, maybe lead with expectations and run the summer kickoff meeting with clear non-negotiables. Now, one focused improvement consistently applied is going to have more impact than 5 things half implemented. All right, my friend, today we move from reactive summer staffing to a proactive people plan. When you start your summer planning in April instead of May or June, you build your schedule structure around your team's real needs and your actual coverage capacity, and keep your people engaged and valued through the PEAKE cultural framework. My friend, that's when summer stops being the season that breaks your team and starts being the season that strengthens it. That's the Empower Your Team Profit Booster from the Preschool Business Blueprint, creating exactly what it's designed to create, a team that makes your business possible season after season. Okay, it's our manifestation minute. So picture this. The last week of August, your summer sessions have wrapped up without a single ratio emergency. Your core team is intact. Your summer hires, a few of them who you'd love to bring back as part-time school year help, they're asking if there's a role for them in fall. And the team that walks into your September kickoff isn't depleted. It's not resentful. They're rested, reconnected to the mission, and they are ready for fall. This is what summer looks like when you lead it like a CEO. Now, your 3 next steps. Number 1, go download that summer team schedule template at kellypeak.com, episode 181, and map your coverage plan before the end of this week. Number 2, if you need even more, grab the team culture blueprint. It's at kellypeak.com under shop resources. This is going to give you the full PEAKE framework, the Caught You Being Awesome system, the team culture roadmap, and the practical tools that make summer retention not just possible, but built into how you lead your team all year. And number 3, if you want to build a complete team strategy, hiring, empowerment, culture, year-round retention, join us inside the Shine membership or the Clarity Collective or the Peace and Profit Society. All of those are at kellypeak.com. You can find out more info. We focus on module 2 of our preschool business blueprint, and it's going to walk you through the entire Empower Your Team Profit Booster with live coaching and community support. Your team members chose early childhood work because they believe in what it does for children and families. And that belief, it doesn't disappear over the summer, but it can get buried under uncertainty, unpredictability, and that quiet feeling that nobody thought to ask what they needed. And you have the power to change that. A summer team plan is not a logistical exercise. It's a message to the people who make your mission possible every single day. You matter here. I planned for you, and I want you to stay. That message is worth everything it takes to deliver it. Your team shows up for you. Now let's make sure you're showing up for them. Take care, my friend. I will see you next week.